Okay, I am streaming. How's it going, folks? Chuck Holton here. I'm in the West Bank tonight, and I don't have a ton of time because it's after midnight. I just finished my last hit. I meant to try to do a live a little earlier, but it's just been a super busy day. So I just want to make sure you can hear me. So give me a heart or a thumbs up or a yes or something. Make sure you can hear me. I think you can. Looks like it. And hi. Okay. Max and Dahlman. Well, thank you for being here. Like I say, I'm in what is known in the media as the West Bank, what is known by the Israelis who live here as Judea and Samaria. This is biblical Judea and Samaria. It's a biblical land. All of the major characters of the Bible, about 80% of the Bible, happened right about where I'm standing. I mean, a lot of it. What's amazing is that literally from the top, I'm on the top of a mountain here. I meant to do my live hit from back there where you could see this, but there's just no connection over there. I have to be closer to this building to get a connection. But from the top of this mountain, I can look out and I can see on my left, off in the distance, Jordan, the Jordanian border, and on my right, off in the distance, the Mediterranean Sea, meaning I can see the entire width of the country of Israel from this mountaintop. This mountaintop was known in the Bible as the mountain of blessing. And then right over there on the other side is another mountain called the mountain of cursing. And you can Google that if you want to know more about it. I'm certainly going to be doing more studying about it because one of the cool things about coming to Israel is that it just makes the Bible come alive. It's like you're walking through the pages of the Bible. I mean, they're all over the hillsides around this settlement. There are like ruins of a civilization that's not here anymore. There are tons of stone fences that were built. They told me probably about the time of Joshua from the Bible. Holy cow. And nobody's ever really done any, archaeological digging around on this mountain because there's just too much of it. It's everywhere. Right across there is, I think they call it Joshua's altar, an altar that Joshua built on the mountain of cursing. And unfortunately, that's in an area that's controlled by the Arab Palestinians, and they were going to bulldoze the thing until the IDF got involved and kept that from happening. So, wow, thank you for watching, everybody. That's really cool. I'm in the West Bank, or Judea and Samaria. The Arabs call this the West Bank, even though there's no bank here. I don't know. I mean, it's a mountainside. There's not like a shoreline or anything. So I'm not sure what they mean by the West Bank, except that it was named the West Bank by when Jordan controlled a lot of this. And the Jordanians called it the West Bank because it's west of Jordan. If you think about it, this is in the eastern part of Israel. So if anything, it should be called the East Bank, but it's called the West Bank because Jordan named it that. So let me give you a quick rundown on what's going on today in the war. I get reports. Obviously, I can't be everywhere, so I like to tell you about the things that I actually saw, that I actually experienced today, and I'll do a little more of that. But real quick, I want to give you a rundown of what we know about the war from today. This is day 5 of the war, November. We just flipped over to November 1st over here. It's still the 31st probably where you are. The IDF has announced that 2 soldiers died in operations in Gaza. They just announced that this evening. I have heard some people who pretend to know what they're talking about. I say pretend because they're not here. They don't, have any special knowledge, I don't think, but there's people who kind of like to engage in conspiracies that have said that the IDF is just getting wiped out in Gaza. I know that's not true because I've been down there on the border where I could look into Gaza and watch the battle taking place, and there weren't like burning tanks everywhere and things like that. I've seen some video coming out of Gaza, filmed by Gazans who were probably trying to blow up Israeli tanks, and their own car, or well, the car that they were filming. You know how jihadis do, they send in the suicide bomber in a vehicle-borne IED, and then another car behind it is filming so that they can, you know, claim victory once they blow themselves to kingdom come. I saw a video like that, and before the car got anywhere close to the murk of a tank in Gaza, the tank blew it sky high. If you think about it, as my friend Ryan, boy, my brain is just fried today. Ryan Macbeth talked about it and said that, and pointed out that with a video like that, even if the suicide bombers don't successfully blow up the tank, they still sort of win, because the video that they're filming either shows the great glorious victory of their suicide bomber blowing up a tank, or the big old mean IDF blowing up an innocent carload full of grandmothers on their way to a Bible study. And it's difficult for Israel to counter that unless the people who are watching it have a brain in their head and can read between the lines there. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who just don't understand conflict. They certainly don't understand the righteous application of violence, which is a thing. And so they just see any violence as bad. But in reality, some violence just needs to happen. And especially when you're in a place like this, when you're in a situation like this, you understand people like Hamas, people like Hezbollah, they only understand violence. That is the language they speak. And so if you want to communicate to them and tell them to leave you alone, you must communicate with violence. Otherwise, they'll see you as weak. And they won't respect you, and they'll just become more violent toward you. Just like a bully, you have to stand up to a bully. Sometimes righteous violence has to be wielded in order to fix a problem. Now, they have not rescued any more hostages that I know of. A lot of people ask about the hostages, but haven't rescued any. But my wife went through the last couple days worth of questions and sent me a kind of a rundown of some of those questions that I could go through, look through, and hopefully try to answer for you tonight. So I wanted to do that. Where did this idea that war is supposed to be morally equivalent? Well, we talked about moral equivalence yesterday, and there is no equivalence. I mean, just the easiest way to describe the moral component of this is Golda Meir is quoted to have said that if the Arabs lay down their arms and stop trying to kill Israelis, there would be peace in the Middle East. If Israel lays down its arms, Israel will cease to exist. Something along those lines. There's your moral equivalence right there. How is any of this different than what the Jews did to the Palestinian people in 1948? What happened in 1948? Well, 1947, the British mandate ended, and the British offered a two-state solution to the Palestinians and the Jews. The Jews accepted it. Here's a country for the Palestinians, and here's some land that'll be a country for the Jews. The Jews accepted that. The Palestinians did not, and immediately went to war against the Jews. So the Jews did, again, spoke to the Palestinians using violence and said, leave us alone. Whenever they do that, it results in a period of relative calm. They've had to do it many times in their history. In this case, this particular case, the violence that was perpetrated against the Jews was so horrific that asking them to consider a ceasefire when they haven't really even yet begun to fire. I mean, they have now after they're about 4 days in, but asking them to consider a ceasefire just elicits a response from them that there was a ceasefire on October 6th. And Hamas decided to break it. And so the Israelis, you understand, so let me just explain where I am here in the West Bank or Judea and Samaria, whatever you want to call it. There are 3 zones in this area that were stipulated, set out by the Oslo Accords that were agreed to many years ago. And the Oslo Accords basically created these 3 zones, A zones, B zones, and C zones. In an A zone is administrated by the Palestinian Authority. They are the authority in that area. The IDF does not go in there unless it's to collect a terrorist or his body. The Israeli police don't police that area. It's up to the Palestinian Authority. That's an A zone. Jews and Israeli citizens are not allowed into the A zone. They cannot enter there legally. If they did enter there anyway, they would die. The people in there would kill them. Point, period, end of story. I almost went into an area like that in Lebanon one time, and it's probably the closest I've ever come to actually getting killed doing this job. That's the A zones. It's a red zone, and there's right at the bottom of this hill, there's a big red sign, gigantic red sign on either side of the road that lays that out in 3 languages, one of which is English, and it says, Israeli citizens are prohibited to enter. If they do, they could die. Something along those lines. That's what it says. I have a picture of it that I took. Let's see if I can show it to you. If I can find it. But the bottom line is, those are Palestinian administrated areas. And, okay, let's see if you can see that. There's the big red sign. Gigantic red sign right there. See that? And I'll just read you what it says word for word. This road leads to Area A under the Palestinian Authority. The entrance for Israeli citizens is forbidden, dangerous to your lives, and is against Israeli law. That's what the sign says. Now, they have areas that are in the B zone, which are kind of half and half. They are policed by the Israeli police, but Palestinians can go in there, Arabs can go in there. I drove through one of those today on my way here. I drove through a village. It's an Arab village that's in a B zone, so Arabs can live there. And so it's kind of a half and half. In the C zone is supposed to be administered by Israel, policed by Israel, protected by Israel, and Israelis are supposed to live. That's where Israelis can live. That's where I'm standing right now. I'm actually on the outside of the Israeli settlement, which means that the Israeli settlement has a fence around it at least. This place where I'm standing does not have a fence around it. And the Arab village that's closest is just right over this way. You have to go down a little, basically it's at the bottom of the hill. The only thing between that Arab village and where I'm standing is a bunch of vineyards. So it would be nothing for a gang of Arabs out of there who are angry about what's happening in Gaza to come sneaking through there tonight and murder all of us in our beds. That wouldn't be cool. I'd be pretty miffed at that. I get really annoyed when people try to kill me. Today in Ramallah, which is just south of here, and it's again, it's an Arab-controlled area in the West Bank, they had a huge protest, pro-Hamas protest, protesting against the invasion of Gaza. That doesn't make anybody feel good. Right over this direction, there's an Arab village that's visible from the other side of this building that after October 7th was flying Hamas flags over there. That's not real welcoming. It's not a very nice thing to do. So they're actually identifying with Hamas, and very uncool. They also, their leadership in the Palestinian Authority has many times in the last 3 weeks gone on social media, gone on television, and called what happened on October 7th a dream come true, and have said, we need to have that happen here in the West Bank, calling for a repeat of the horrors that were visited on innocent Israelis, beheading babies, raping little kids, killing families and children in front of their parents, parents in front of their children, that sort of thing. Calling for a repeat of that right here in the West Bank. So you can imagine the settlers here are a little on edge, and I don't blame them. Now there are some soldiers, IDF reservists around here, but not a lot of them. And so there's a plan. We have a plan here where I'm in a place called HaYovel. If you follow I think they're called the Israel guys on YouTube, I'm with them. I'm with the Israel guys. They are the Waller family and the Hilton family, who they're American Christians who moved up here 20 years ago and showed up out here in these settlements with these Jews and just said, we're here to help you. And Jews are like, oh, you want to make us Christians? They're like, we're not going to proselytize you. We're here to fulfill prophecy that says that foreigners will come and help you harvest your grapes, and we want to help you survive out here and do the best you can with your farms. These are farmers from Tennessee, and they've been here for 20 years, and now they bring groups in here. You can come here if you like and help out and farm and pick grapes and have all kinds of fun. They're a great family. There's about 75 people who live here. It's like 4 different families and all their kids. Most of them are kids. There's only about 25 adults. But they live here and they have a plan. And it's like the ultimate prepper commune. These guys are hardcore. They got radios, they got thermal cameras, they got roving night guards and all sorts of cool stuff. The only thing they don't have is firearms because they're not citizens of Israel, and it's pretty hard to get a firearm in Israel. That's a problem that Israel needs to address post-haste. Big time. Major problem. Okay? Let's go back and answer some more of these questions. Again, that's HaYovel, HaYovel. HaYovel. And let's read some more of these. Do you know how many IDF we've lost? So far, they've only admitted to 2. Can I use drones for better on-site reporting? Not a good time to use drones in Israel. Yeah, that'd be a good way to get a missile dropped on your head. They can see those things, right? They've got technology that can pick them up as soon as they get in the air, and they can follow them back to their owner and come kill you or at least arrest you. Yeah, not a good time to fly drones. It's kind of against the rules right now. Is Ukraine a U.S. proxy? The war in Ukraine is a proxy war between Russia and the United States. Ukraine is the football in that contest. And so, in some sense, you could say it is a U.S. proxy. Obviously, if we're giving them billions of dollars, you could say that. I think so. Do I know if Ukraine supports Israel? Yes, I do. Vladimir Zelensky has on many occasions in the last 3 weeks come out with statements that support Israel and point out the moral equity or equality between what's happening to Ukraine and what's happening to Israel. Now, if only Israel and Ukraine would admit that what's happening to them is exactly what's happening to the Armenians. Instead, Israel and Ukraine both support Azerbaijan against Armenia, which is highly hypocritical on the part of Israel and on the part of Azerbaijan, because Armenia didn't attack anybody, and they're being attacked by Azerbaijan, just like Hamas attacked Israel and just like Russia attacked Ukraine. So again, if you're going to be morally clear, you got to stay consistent. Can they use satellite to map the tunnels? No, they cannot, because the tunnels are underground, and the satellite can't see underground. Is there a video about what happened on the roof last night? No, I mean, you can go back and watch the video of what happened to me on the roof the other night in Ashkelon. The police came and then checked on me and made sure I wasn't a terrorist. It happens. Let's see. My Garmin GPS watch works when I'm on the border. I have checked and it does work, but there are times when it gets jammed and the GPS on my phone or on my watch goes kind of haywire and can't figure out where I am and thinks that I'm somewhere else and tells me to go the wrong direction, and it's really frustrating, but it comes with the territory. I'm kind of used to it. When do I sleep? Usually after I get done with all these lives. Is my wife okay with me being here? Yes, she is. She trusts God, and if she didn't, she would be a basket case a long time ago. But I've been doing this for 2 decades more, and she's accustomed to it. She understands, but she has a very good sense as well of when things are very bad, and she will usually let me know, I don't feel comfortable about what you're talking about doing. I have a deal with her that before I make a decision to go on any mission or go anywhere, I will look at a picture of my lovely wife on my phone, and I will think about whether or not this mission is really worth it, the chance of me not coming back to her. And I will pray. And after praying and looking at a picture of my wife and thinking about that, then I make a decision about whether or not I should go in. Wondering if non-involved Palestinians agree to how their radical brothers rule Gaza. Well, I don't think so, but they don't have much choice because, you know, this is one of the things that I've realized covering these wars is that people are heavily influenced by the information war that is waged upon them. You understand, information war is being waged on you right now all over the place in the mainstream media. Information war is, you know, them trying to influence how you feel about what you're seeing and not just telling you what you're seeing. In some sense that I'm doing that too. I'm telling you how I feel about it, and I'm not necessarily telling you you have to feel the same way, but it's likely that if you listen to my argument, maybe I'll convince you. And that's what information war is trying to do, except it's a little more nefarious because it's very often what they choose not to show you that changes your opinion about something. So if they choose not to report on something, or if they choose to use different language in how they report on things, that will possibly change your opinion. So, you know, you understand, you can see like, you know, what is this, 36 degrees or something of this scene, okay? You see a tranquil house back behind me. You can hear the crickets probably chirping, and that's about all you see. But what you don't see is that behind the camera, let's see if I can turn this camera around. Come on. There we go. Behind the camera, over this way, is the building that is providing me with the light I have on my face. They have a guard in there. Over that way is the IDF Jeep. I don't know if you can see that Jeep or not. See that IDF vehicle over there? That's the IDF outpost, etc. That's the kind of thing they don't do on the mainstream media. And so You know, that packaged media that you see very often is just going to show you exactly what they want you to see here. And you understand I'm kind of using this as an allegory, so to speak, of, you know, that there's a whole lot more to the story that very often you just don't see because the news, it's not always nefarious. They just can't show you everything. I'm trying to change that, and people seem to like it because I'm happy showing you whatever's around, okay? So let's see what other questions we got here. Let's go back to the real questions. Wow, thank you for the super chats, folks. You can go hit that super chat at the bottom and you can support my reporting, and I really appreciate it. Whatever money we raise here on the hot zone gets given away. So I'm not keeping this money. Give you an example. Today I sent about $600 to Colombia to a single mom with 3 little kids from Venezuela who we have helped lift her out of prostitution and get her a real place to live. And she has taken in some other mothers and their kids into that house as well. And it's sort of becoming a home for Venezuelan single mothers. And they needed to move to a better place and a bigger place in a safer part of town. And so we are supporting her by paying for her living, for her rent. And we just went down there, I don't know, a couple months ago. We went down there and met with her to see how she's doing, prayed with her, talked to her, got her hooked up with this church there, and helped her start a business that will enable her to take care of her kids without having to go downtown where the perverts and wackos are, without having to put her kids at risk of being picked up by a pedophile, which was a big problem, and will enable her to have some dignity because she's got her own business. It was just a micro grant, you know, $1,000, something like that, to get it. Basically, it's like a hot dog stand that you can set up. We helped the other lady that's staying with her get a coffee business up and running. And so now those 2 ladies can pool their resources to start to pay for their own living, and we can move on to other people who need it. That money that we donate comes from the hot zone and from our own resources as well. Okay? Thank you, Javi. Very kind of you, man. Okay, so I'm going to go back down here. Wendy Wade, you're welcome. And SJR, thank you very much. It's very kind of you. And again, we are going to celebrate that. And you're going to help some mamas in Venezuela with that money. Oh no, it just crapped out on me. Got to open that up again. This new system I got is not perfect, that's for sure. Question, is Israel planning to attack Iran? Israel has warned Iran. Israel does not want to attack Iran, but they have warned Iran that they will attack if Iran gets involved. Personally, because this is my Hot Zone podcast, I think they should just get it over with, because Iran is the source of all this. You can whack Hamas today, and there'll be another Hamas that grows up tomorrow, because Iran is giving them like $100 million a year. So taking out Hamas is really slapping a Band-Aid on a gushing, sucking chest wound or something. I mean, they need to address the real problem. Did you know U.S. troops were attacked again in the last 24 hours, like 3 different times around the Middle East by Iranian drones? So Iranian drones are attacking U.S. troops, and the U.S. military is not attacking Iran right now? Sounds pretty cowardly to me. Apparently, the geniuses at the U.S. Pentagon have not figured out that if you don't respond with righteous violence against this, that it's only going to keep happening. What will Israel do about Yemen bombing them now with ballistic missiles? Well, Yemen's been throwing ballistic missiles up here for some time, and Israel is shooting them down, and they're going to keep doing that. I guess Yemen declared war against Israel, and Israel was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Because Yemen doesn't have any troops to send up here. What are they going to do? So they're going to send some missiles. They've been sending missiles. Israel will certainly strike back, I guarantee you. There's no question about that. Thank you for the super chats. That is so kind of you. Holly Larson, what is China doing in Panama? Is that nice? Say 99.99? Wow, I'm impressed. Thank you, Holly. Okay, a lot of people are worried that China controls the Panama Canal. That is not exactly true. Let me clarify that. There are ports on either side of the Panama Canal. Those ports are separate from the Panama Canal, but they're connected. China, there's a Chinese company called Hutchison Whampoa that has been administering the ports on either end of the canal for many years. China does not control the canal. It cannot control the canal. It is literally written into the Panamanian Constitution that only Panama can control the canal. So China does not control it. They're managing, they have software and stuff that manages the ports, but the ports are not the canal. They're separate things, separate items, okay? You guys are going so fast here, I can hardly keep up with it. Thank you, Tammy. Very kind of you. Now, that doesn't necessarily answer your question, though, about China in Panama, because China is definitely trying to influence Panama and even control it. They are throwing a bunch of money at Panama. They're building another bridge across the canal. They're building a railroad. They're building a highway. This is all part of their Belt and Road Initiative. And what they're trying to do is get Panama beholden to China so that they kind of owe China one. And so when China comes calling, you know, that the Panamanians will have to, you know, play ball. They're doing that all over the world. China is. And the other thing they're doing is when they give these contracts out to build the road or the bridge or the railroad, they're mostly given to Chinese companies with Chinese people. And that's one way that China is trying to sort of, they are literally trying to salt Chinese people throughout the earth. And they make sure to tell these Chinese people, you are still subject to Chinese law. And so we call you, you jump. We tell you to jump, you say how high. And they have Chinese police stations all over the world that enforce that sort of thing. And there are a lot of Chinese people, even in the little tiny village that I live in, up in the mountains of Panama, that are beholden to their Chinese overlords. And I could go on and on and on about that. I should do a whole podcast about it. But so let's move on here. This is flying by so fast, I can hardly keep up. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Terrell. That's very kind of you. Good grief. Keep praying. How's my sore throat? Well, it's getting a little better. I've been drinking a lot of tea and getting a lot of advice from people about you, people like you, about how to fix my sore throat, and some of it actually works. I also got these Actiplus lozenges, which help out a lot when I feel like I'm about to die. Okay? I mentioned in my CBD report about the ABC zones. Do you mind explaining that more? I'll do that one more time. The A zones are the area that's administered by the Palestinian Authority that Israelis are not allowed to enter, even enter. If they enter, they die. The B zones are half and half. The C zones are places where Israelis live, but Arabs can actually enter here. They have to go through security to do so because of their history of blowing things up and killing Jews. But in many of the 200 Israeli settlements around here, the homes that are built there are actually built by Arabs that were hired by the Jews to build their homes for them. So they come in here, they work, they take their money back home. I'm told that they can make 100 shekels a day in the Arab-controlled areas, and they can make 400 shekels a day in the C zones, which are controlled by Israel. And so many of them want to work here. these guys from the Jerusalem, or the Israel guys were telling me today that they have footage of, this is ridiculous, they have footage of a hole in the fence between from the A zone to the C zone, where these guys are just walking through without even going through security to go work. And they're like, going through security is too much trouble. But of course, that leaves them open to terror attacks here in the C zones where I am now. And that's a bad thing. Okay. Mike Earl, whatever traveling, speak at a church. I do speak at churches quite a bit. I haven't a lot lately because I've just been so busy traveling. But yes, I actually have a speaker's agent. Ambassador Speakers Bureau will set that up. Or you can contact me at hotzoneholton@gmail.com and we can talk about it. If you'd like me to come speak at your church, I speak for men's groups, church groups, youth groups, corporate groups, and I have done that for 20 years now. And I'd be happy to. I'd love to. We can talk about that. Can I interview someone who can talk about if this war may be Bible prophecy? I've been talking to people about that a lot more. It's cool to talk to these people from HaYovel because they came here specifically to fulfill biblical prophecy. And talking with the founder, his name is Tommy Waller, talking with him for a couple of hours tonight, I was amazed as he kind of took me through his decision to do that and how he came to do that. It was really fascinating. One of the things he said is that there's a difference between how American Christians look at prophecy and how Jews look at Bible prophecy. The Jews look at Bible prophecy like a checklist that they have to fulfill. Like, okay, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this before the Messiah will come. American Christians look at Bible prophecy as like something to watch for. Like we need to watch for this to happen, and then we know. So we don't know ahead of time when the Bible prophecy is going to be fulfilled. We just watch for it to happen, and then we can look back and say, look, the Bible prophecy was just fulfilled. So that was kind of a fascinating thing that I had never thought of before. And tomorrow, if I can, I'd like to get Tommy Waller on with me to talk about Bible prophecy and his decision to come here. But to do that, I'll probably have to get on before 1 o'clock in the morning. And so it'll be much earlier in the day for you guys, like maybe around 9 o'clock in the morning or something, Eastern time. So if you're west of East Coast time, it would be super early for you. Thank you, Allison. You're very kind. And again, the money that we collect from these donations will be spent on little Venezuelan single moms who are trying to get out of being prostitutes and just take care of their kids. The reason that they become prostitutes is because they literally have nothing else to sell. It's really sad. And there's unfortunately way too many perverts and losers from the United States that come down to Cartagena and employ these women. And so they come to Cartagena because they know they can make a good living there. Some of those girls make $150 an hour, I'm told, which is usually the underage ones who are, it's nothing. I've been down there, easy to find an 11-year-old prostitute. It's sad, but it's pretty easy. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions here. And then I'm going to go to bed because I've been up. I got to get up in the morning and do more of this. Okay. Edgelord is someone typically on the internet who tries to impress or shock by posting exaggerating opinions of blah, blah, blah. Okay. Spitfire, whatever. All right. Well, I think that is all for today. Folks, thank you very much. Again, God bless you. Thank you for watching. Pray for me tonight because, like I said, we are outside the fence of the settlement that's just right up the hill here from us. And so there's literally no fence. There's nothing but a vineyard between us and the Arab settlement that's just down the hill. And then we've got guards, we've got roving patrols. There's a few IDF reservists out here protecting us. But if a whole horde of angry Arabs decides to come running up that hill and do what their leaders have asked them to do, have said that they should do, which is come repeat the horrors of October 7th on us, we have very little time to get out of here. Now, this group of people at HaYovel here, again, they have about 50 children here. Most of them are grandchildren. This is amazing. Connie, if you're listening, this is this is what a dream. Talking to Tommy Waller. Tommy Waller has 11 kids, and he has 45 grandchildren. And 30 of them live with him here on this compound. And if that's not awesome, I don't know what is. I don't know if you can, hopefully you can see this. This is a photograph of Tommy Waller and all of his children. I don't know, it might not be able to focus that close, but this is, let's see if I can zoom in and maybe focus. This is Tommy Waller and all of his grandchildren and children together in one place. That is an awesome family picture if I've ever seen one right there, isn't it? Is that something? So goals right there, that's my goal. 45 grandchildren. Our kids better get busy because I've only got 5, so they're gonna have to really get on it. But they have an evacuation plan because if the hordes start coming, they have to just get out of here. They're not planning on evacuating Israel, but they're going to evacuate into the Israeli settlement up there, which is a little better defended, and they're going to pray. But they say that we are not leaving. As long as there are Jews here, we are here. And I got to respect that. All right. God bless you. Thank you very much. And we'll see you.